All right, so Jealous Guy by John Lennon. This is from his Imagine album, 1971. This song actually had a different beginning entirely, and I never knew any of this stuff until I started researching it for my tutorial here. But it was started out as a song called Nature's Child, and when the Beatles were in India, the Maharishi gave a lecture on being a child of nature, right? And so, of course, Paul went away and wrote Mother Nature's Son. And John went away and wrote a song called Nature's Child. And if you go to my website, click that I up there or the link in the description box below, and I'll leave two different versions of Nature's Child. One is like a demo of John where he's like really kind of weird. He's double tracks his vocal. It's very hippy dippy, And then another is a version of the Beatles sort of working through the song, because he had presented it for the Double Wine album, but it never made it. And so that was the beginning of the song. And then, of course, later on, when he went solo, he entirely rewrote the lyrics and changed the title to Jealous Guy. So that was where the song got its beginnings. But definitely go to my website and check out those links, because, literally till a week ago, I never even knew any of that. And that was really surprising to me. Anyways, let's get on with it. We're in drop D tuning here, okay? So our E string is down to our D string. And we're going to start like this. So that's the intro. And of course, on the original recording, it was Nicky Hopkins playing the piano part. And to me, it's such a fantastic part. It just makes the song, like as soon as you hear him playing that, it's like you instantly know what song it is. So in my arrangement, I tried to cop as many of his little fills and licks as possible. So we're going to fret on, even though it's a D, I'm going to call it the E string, on E5. And we're just going to go, we're pinching on the G string and B string and E5. And then D string, G string, B string. We're going to drop down to E4, and we're going to hit B3 to get the D note. And, we're hitting the G string at the same time as the B string. Now we're going to go to this E minor chord with E2, and we're going to hit G, B, and E with our three fingers, right? Now we're going to go. And that part, what I'm doing there, I'm hitting that B string, and then hammering on E2, and then plucking E3. And now I'm going to go to here, which is like a D chord, but with your third finger lifted. And I really want to keep that B string ringing. And I really struggled getting that, because unless you fret that perfectly, you're going to mute out that B string. And I just really like the sound of that. It's like a sixth. It's like a D6 chord. Really like that sound. Really kind of dreamy, right? So. And then we hit the open D, and now we're going to fret the D note on B3 and hit G and B. And then hit the low E string. So. And we want to wait to the last second before we fret that D note, right? Just so it rings. Now we're going to do this lick. Trying again to cop those Nicky Hopkins piano lines. So that's just their sixth. And we're going to start, it's D4 and B3. Sliding in, right? And then up to the 5th fret, D and B. And then the 7th fret, and we're going to put a vibrato on that while we hit the low D note. And then we're going to hit the D on the D string, right? So now we're going to go, so we're going to bar on the 2nd fret and hammer on E3 and G4. And then we're going to hit 5th fret G and E and 7th fret G and E. And then I did it with my little finger, my 3rd finger, hitting the E on D2. Alright, so let's do that whole intro. So I'm hitting a lot of D notes, either on the low D or the D string. And, I'll have a tab for this, so, it may be a little more clear on the tab. Let's do it again. Now we're going to go. Alright, so pull off of E2 to open, and then open B, and hit the D note on B3 while we leave that E note ringing. So when we play the G, we're going to get a G6. Okay, so before, we got that D6, now we're going to get a D6. And now we're going to start the melody. Okay, so there's a ton of D's in there. I just kind of like the sound of it, right? So I'm trying to put a little vibrato on that D note. So that's E2 and then G, B, and E with these 3 fingers, pulling off the E string to open. And we want to leave all those strings ringing to sort of keep that dreamy atmosphere, right? That, but if we hit that B note there, because we're barring, right, it's gonna kill it. Right? So we gotta make sure we don't hit that B string at all. Then we've got so we're just sliding up with the 3rd finger on G4 and then hitting B3 and putting a vibrato on that, right? While this D string is ringing. Then we hold that open B. See, but we've got low D, then D string, and then a slide up from the A note on G2 to G4. So we've got a lot of ringing of that D note. ending up on this E minor chord. It's just like doing an E minor, right? But only our E is here now, and we don't need that fifth. Okay, and we're kind of three fingers, D, G, and B, bouncing off that E note on E2. And then we're going to do that, going up to an E6, or E minor 6. And now we're going to go and you could do this a lot of different ways, but I chose to do it this way because I like the way it kind of kept strings ringing. We're sliding up from 2 to 4 in the D, hitting the open G string, and then D7 and open D. So once we hit that, we've got those three strings ringing. And then just do a D chord. And that's that again. And then what I do is I hit D2 with my middle finger so I can get E2 with my first finger. Now we repeat it, and we go to a C chord, so we're three strings, right? G, B, and E, bouncing off that E note on D2 before we take our finger off and hit the open D, so we've got a C over D. And then we go into the chorus. So let's take it up to this point from the intro, real slow. Whoops. Okay, and that last one. We're hitting that open E, right? So now we've got lots of strings ringing, and then open E, and then we hit the chorus. Hit the G note there on E5, and now we're gonna get that little finger and go up to here to D3, and then we're gonna hit our F note on E3 with our third finger. Now we're going to go to a B flat chord, and I'm going to play it like this. So we're just going to, we could do that, but we don't need this note, so I'm just going to go there and lift up this first finger so we've got an open E. bass. We've got the D there and here. So it's real powerful, right? Real thick sounding. And then so we've got D string and E string with the B flat, and then same thing but with the open A. Whoops. Now we're going to hit that open D string and the G note here on E5 and really let that D string ring. We bring the bass down one note. And then this again. And then coming out of that to get into the next verse, we're going to go. So it's just hammer on A2 while we hit the open G. And then A3, G2. Then sliding up to A5 and the open B string. Guess, you know, it goes instead of little finger, I guess I went third finger there. And that's your first cycle. Now, the next cycle is very similar. So it's a little bit different timing. So it's I was trying to catch your eye. Now we're going to put this lick in again from the intro. And when we do this, when we go down, we're going to catch this E flat or D sharp. Right, just to kind of trying to get you to that E note. So I was trying to catch your eye. You was trying to hide. Let me do this again. Now I was shivering, right? So for a fill, here I went. So, sixth again, right? Love sixths. They're probably my favorite thing to do on guitar. It's so melodic. So we got 9, D9, and B8. And then 7th fret both, 5th fret both, and then D4, B3. And I tried to a little vibrato on that one. Ending on this E minor chord with your middle finger there, right? Get a little sharp there. Right, we hit that low note, then we repeat it. Throw in that open. Now we're going to do And that's just a little fill that I kind of came up with that I thought sounded good. So we're here. It's just G5, open B, and E, open E. So we've got that dissonance, you know. And then we're going to go use that A note there, and then use this G note here before we finally wind up with the D note. So it's like a C major 7 over D. I just like the sound of all those chords. And then we're into the chorus. Now this time for a fill I went to try and get a bit of that Klaus Voormann bass line that's in there, right? So and that I just use that as a fill. Instead of explaining every note, I think just me playing it slowly is probably better. And that is, well, we changed the bass. And then again. So I'm just going to go A2, A3 with E2 there. And that, you could go, or you could go open or E2. And, you know, of course, the original recording, I'm just a jealous guy, it does all these trills, which don't really translate great to guitar, so I just kept it real straight there. That's the end. C to B. Absolutely beautiful song by John Lennon. John, he always had this kind of tough guy image. And, you know, he was a tough guy, but he also had this thing. The beauty of some of his songs is like, it's staggering. You know, like this song, songs like Because, Oh My Love, from his solo days. He just wrote some amazingly beautiful pieces of music. Anyways, I hope you get something out of this. It's really fun to play. It takes a little while to get all those strings ringing. But when you do, it just is just beautiful. You know, the guitar just really, really sings and rings. Okay, hope you get something out of it. I hope you enjoy playing it, and we'll talk to you next time.